Hello there. Now today I've got a Bose Wave Radio 2 on the bench, and it's model number AWR1B4. It's producing no sound and basically isn't responding to remote control functions either. Just pick it up a second. If I press power, it's sometimes will indicate that it's receiving, and other times it just totally ignores. I've tested the remote and the remote's in full working order. So I've had a few of these in the past and it's always been problems with the capacitors. So I'm going to whip it apart and have a look what we can do about repairing it. Now, I'm not going to film myself taking it all apart. Nobody wants to watch me take the screws out. But just as a matter of interest, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws to take out the bottom. Now I've noticed there are some missing out of mine. There's 2 missing. One there and one there, so somebody's obviously been in here before me. Anyway, let's get it apart and then we'll see what's going on inside. Now we've removed it from the main supply, just to be on the safe side. We don't want anybody getting electrocuted. Now to gain access to the board, we need to lift this top piece off. Now, looking at it, we've got 2 speaker connections just down here that will need to be disconnected, and that's just a case of pressing the little tabs in on each side of the plug and they should come out. We've also got the connection from the transformer just here that will also need to be disconnected, which again looks as if it's just a tab to press it out. So that's the back end. At the front we've got this ribbon cable that connects the clock. So that will need to be just slid out of the socket to allow us to take it up. So let's have a look at this back edge first. So I'm going to get my tweezers and I'm just going to grab the plug, push the tab in and pull it out. Same one for the other speaker. So that's the speakers now disconnected. And we'll do the same with the transformer. Okay, that's the transformer disconnected. So, going to the front now. We'll just pull this ribbon carefully out. That's that disconnected. Now, I think this should now just lift away. Nope, I was wrong. We've got one more plug here to disconnect. So I'll just squeeze the little tab in and pull it up, and that's it. We can remove the speakers and the transformer. Now usually on these it's the capacitors underneath this screening plate here that need to be replaced. So let's just take that ribbon off out of the way altogether. Now this just unclips. Like that. And the area of interest are these capacitors here. So just to prove that, if we heat this area with the hairdryer, it should restore operation briefly, as the caps have dropped that much in value. So I'm just going to set that up and show you how that works. Just bear with me. Okay, so I managed to plug in the transformer and the clock display again. I'm now going to just warm this area with the hairdryer, and I've screened it off so that I'm not warming any other part of the boards. And when I reconnect the mains, it should function as normal while these capacitors are warm. So let's just give it a bit of heat. That should be enough. Now, keeping your fingers away from the main side of this, we don't want to get electrocuted. I'm now going to stick the mains in, and we'll find the remote control. There we go. It's working as it should. We can select things on the remote, no problem. But as soon as these capacitors go cold and fall back out of range, if you like, then it won't work. So what we need to do is replace them all. So let's just get rid of that mains lead out of there. Right, that's okay, we're safe again. So I'm going to be replacing everything in this screened area here, and also this one down just outside, that one there. Now they are surface mount capacitors, but I'm not going to be replacing them with the same. I'm going to be using electrolytic just radials, 105 degrees. Now to get these off, I've seen numerous ways of doing it. You can either use your iron, warm one side up at a time, pop them off, or you can use a heat gun, hot air gun, and do it that way. I've also seen it where people have grabbed them and just twisted them and then cleaned the pads up after. Which method I'm going to use, I'm not sure yet. In the past I have unsoldered them using soldering iron, doing one side at a time. So anyway, let's get some caps organised and see what we can do. Right, let's start by taking the little board out. Undo these two ribbons. We'll take the board out the casing and make life a bit easier. Right, so I'm going to start by trying to get them out with my soldering iron, but I'm going to apply a little bit of flux to each pad. So I'll take our iron and I'm just going to pop it on there and see if that's enough just to, yeah, that's one side lifted and that's the other side lifted. So that's off. Well, that's one, and then it'll be just a case of cleaning these little pads up when we come to reassemble. So I'm going to carry on in that mode and remove them all. I think I'm using this method basically because I know a lot of people may not have a hot air station, so I'm just showing you that it can be done with your soldering iron. Just being careful that you don't heat anything up or damage anything that's close to them. See, they do come off. So yeah, I'm going to continue in that mode. If it is that you're finding it difficult, then you could always just do what others have done and grab them with a pair of pliers and twist them off the board. But there is a risk doing that you could end up pulling the pads off the board. So it's a case of just seeing what works for you, really. I mean, I'm getting these off without too much fuss. What I do suggest is that you write down the positions and values of them, like I've done here, or take a picture, otherwise you won't know what to put back in each location. I mean, what method you use is up to you. But this is working for me at the minute. Just taking them off using my iron. But as I say, just be very, very careful that you don't touch any of these surface mounted capacitors or whatever else is in that vicinity, because I'm not joking, once you take one of them off accidentally, then unless you have got a hot air station, you're going to struggle to replace them, as I found out in the past. But there you go, I've only got one left to take off now. Just this one here. Now we can start thinking about replacing them. Just take your time with it. If it doesn't feel right, then just stop and have a look what you're doing. So that's them all off. Just gonna touch each one of these little pads up. I'm not too bothered about taking the old solder off, because I'm going to be building it back up in a minute to put the others back on. Right, let me go and find my capacitor kit. Okay, so I've selected my capacitors for my kit. Now some of these are over voltage. For instance, the 47 microfarad 6 volt caps, I'm using 10 volt. Now as long as the capacitor value as far as microfarads go, it's okay, but don't go under voltage. So as long as you're quite close to the original voltage, you'll be fine, but keep to the correct microfarad. That's the most important thing. So what I'm going to do to fit these, because the others were surface mounted and we're going to be putting these radials in, I'm going to be just cutting the legs after I've bent them outwards. So I'm just going to grab a leg, where are we, like that, and I'm going to splay it outwards, and the same with the other one. So there's something like this to look at. Now this one, the 2016, goes down here. So it's important that we get them the right way around. So if you look at the board, the side that is the negative will have a line. So, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a line on that one, for instance, a line on that one. So anything with the line is your negative side. Same as this one, it's there. So on your capacitor, the line here tells us that that is the negative side. So that will need to go in position like that. But what we'll do, we'll just trim these legs off so that so they look like that. Now bear in mind that the height of the ones inside the case, you will have to bend them over slightly, even if they're these, you know, these are quite a small cap, but they will still need to be bent over probably to clear the top. So I'm going to go and fit these now, and then we should be able to reassemble it and it should work. So I'm just going to bung some solder on to each of the pads just to build them up, and then going to stick a little bit of flux on each of the legs and just tin them, and now I'm going to solder it in. So if we make sure we get the polarity right, that's the minus there, so we'll just hold it on. And do one leg at a time. And that's it. It's in. That should be fine. Where are we? That should be fine. I'm going to carry on now in that mode and get them all soldered back in, and then we'll reassemble it. So I'll get back to you when that's done. Now, going back to what I said earlier about getting the polarity right on the caps and that they were marked on a board, some of them you can quite easily see the line to indicate the negative side, but on some it's quite difficult. So I suggest that you take a photograph before you start to take them off the board to refer back to, or even draw a little diagram so you can't go wrong. I've had to refer back to a picture that I took on some of these to get them the right polarity. So I'm just popping in the last one now, and then we're ready to reassemble. Now you'll notice that I have had to bend them over to give clearance for the lid to go on. So when you are fitting them, just bear in mind what's underneath them before you start to bend, and make sure your legs are long enough to allow for a bend without putting too much strain on anything or pressure on components that are living underneath the caps. But I think that is now okay, and that should go on there and have enough clearance looking at it. Yeah, that'll be fine. So I'm just going to check now that they're all the right polarity with the picture that I took earlier. So down, 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 up, down, up. Yeah, they're all fine. Just make sure that I've not got any bridges. No, that looks good. So this can now go back on. Just tighten it up if you've bent it so it's lost a bit of its grip. Just bend them back in basically. And that should just go back on there. That's it. Not sure if we'll have to give that a bit of a tweak when we put it in, because I'm not sure what clearance there was. But anyway, I'm going to go and reassemble it now, and then we can give it a testing. So I'll be back. Okay, so that's it all back together apart from the case going on. But we'll give it a try before we put the case on, just in case there's any problems. Let's plug it in. Now hopefully when I tell it to come on with the remote, it will come on. Ah, it has. Just let me turn that volume down. Let's see if we can tune it. Yeah, that appears to have cured it. I think we can carry on now and put the case on it and give it a bit of a dust off the top here and clean the display, and that'll be it. Another one saved, I reckon. I bought this about 4 months ago from eBay. It was I think it was £22-ish delivered. So I just thought I'd give it a go, see what's what with it. Sometimes you can buy them and they're a reasonable easy fix like this one, other times they're a nightmare. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and clean it off now, get the top on it, and then we'll just give it one final test and we can wrap the video up. Right, well there you go, all back together. I've got it on mute at the minute. I haven't put the screws in because I need to do some repairs where the screws go in. Somebody's been in there before me and broken the plastic bits off inside. But yeah, that's great. I think that's another one we can safely say has been rescued from the skip. Anyway, I hope that's been of some help to you. Many thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one.